Hello everybody, it's George from ShopTo, and today we're going to be talking about PlayStation VR, and more specifically, 6 months down the road, my thoughts on the system, and whether you should pick up one, and what I think is going to happen with the future of it, and stuff like that. So the gameplay you're seeing is PlayStation VR Worlds gameplay. I apologise for the quality, I didn't realise it would look this rough when I took the video from, recorded what you can see on the TV screen when I've got the headset on. I was going to do like a face cam thing, but obviously my face wouldn't be in it because I have that massive headset on my face. But you know what I mean, I decided to just go with this. So there's a little bit of VR Worlds gameplay in the background. So, PSVR, what is it? Obviously you know what it is. And it was something that was so promising at the time. And I feel like it's kind of lived up to the promise. And it is carrying on being the best option for VR for consumers, really, because it came out at a time where the two main ones were the Vive and the Oculus, and both of them were really expensive, and you needed a really expensive PC to be able to run it. So it kind of just priced most people out of even considering having one. Unless you put it on your Christmas list and you happen to already have an insane PC, then you're not going to be able to just go out, spend £1,000 on a PC and up to £700, maybe even £800 on a VR headset just to play a few games with. It was really a luxury until I feel the PSVR was launched. Obviously you had options like the Samsung, is it Gear VR, where you use your phone, but the processing power of the phone is nowhere near as much as the PS4 or your PC would be, so it just didn't offer the same kind of experience as you could get from those dedicated VR headsets. So the PSVR came out at a time where there wasn't really anything like it, and to be honest, to this day I feel like there still isn't anything that competes directly with it, because it's so well priced in comparison to its competition, and it's so easy to use. Everybody, well, not everybody, most people who are interested in gaming have a PS4, or PS4s are relatively inexpensive. You can get one for about £200 these days, and the headset itself is £300. So to have a Vive, for example, you need about an £800 PC, then you got to buy the £700 Vive. That's like 1,500 quid down the drain already, whereas you can have this PSVR for under 500 all set up on a PS4. Obviously a PS4 Pro is preferred because you get better graphics and stuff like that, but it's just fine on a regular PS4. So the reception after launch, I think it was received quite well, although it is kind of coming under fire right now for a lack of games. There is Gran Turismo Sport that's coming out with PSVR support, but I'm not a fan of the ones that, or the PSVR games where you are actually moving in the game but not in real life. Like the VR Luge gameplay you just saw right then really does make my head spin. It's quite actually unpleasant at times. Most of the time it's okay, but when you go down a really steep slope or go up a steep slope or something like that, or in a driving game when you're taking sharp turns and looking around you side to side, and you're not actually doing that in real life, it does kind of throw your head and make you feel a little bit ill. I do find that a little bit, but once you play it more, you kind of get used to it and it feels a lot better. And you kind of, as I said, get used to the fact that you're going to feel a little bit icky sometimes, and then that kind of goes away. So Gran Turismo Sport, I think it's going to be really good in VR. It's going to be a really good game anyway, but in VR I think it's going to be really good. But obviously it's going to have that motion sickness thing, or maybe it won't. I highly doubt that it won't. But I'll have to play it and get used to it, and then I'll be able to enjoy it. I'm sure of it. Resident Evil was really good in VR. It was so scary. It genuinely added another level of scare to the game. It was next gen scary. It was horrible. I genuinely remember taking off my headset to check that there wasn't a really creepy guy standing next to me in my room when I was playing, and it was just so good. But there is kind of a lack of games. They need to port more over from the Oculus store and the Steam store, I think, maybe. But there needs to be more first-party PlayStation games that have support for VR. Obviously, that Horizon and stuff wouldn't really work because it's third-person, so you're not really going to get much use out of the VR. But I'm sure there will be more games in the future, and as I said, we've got Gran Turismo Sport coming very soon. My thoughts on the system: I was quite apprehensive to start with because I knew the Vive and the Oculus were 1080p screens, whereas this one's a 720p. But the graphics aren't mind-blowing, but they're also very good in a way that you can actually become immersed. Like, as I was mentioning with Resident Evil, it was genuinely horrifying to be in the room with the main guy. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but it was so horrible to actually look to your side and him be there. It actually felt real at times, even though obviously the graphics weren't as good as real life. So I was really, really impressed with the PSVR, and I absolutely adore the system. It's not something that I use on a daily basis, but it's very fun to get out every now and then and have a play with, and I'm sure I'll be picking up more games very soon for it. And I'm not taking any crap from these guys here. I knew exactly who I was taking out. But the future of PSVR, as I mentioned, games wise, I'm sure there will be plenty of games released in the future. I just don't want this system to go the way as the Vita, an amazing piece of kit that's just let down by support. It's almost like the Wii U, but the Wii U wasn't so amazing. It's just let down by lack of games, and it's just kind of like, we bought one, you can play a few games, but we're not going to touch it anymore, which I really hope doesn't happen to the VR like it did the Vita. Well, the Vita still kind of gets games, but hardly enough to justify buying one, I think. Should you buy a PSVR? If you've got the money to spare, although it's not that much money in theory, maybe put it on your Christmas list this year if there's more games released. Maybe if you, as I said, if you've got the money to spare and you want a new gaming experience for your PS4, 100%, go pick this up. It's so good, and it's so much easier to get, you know, into than a Vive or a Rift, as I said earlier. So I would definitely recommend it if you've got the money to spare. If you don't, maybe save up, maybe wait till Christmas. But I do think if there's one or maybe two more games released, like major games that have support for this, you should 100% consider getting it, regardless of your position, because it is so good, and it is genuinely, you have to try it to, you know, really understand how good it is. So if you've got the opportunity to try it, go and try it, and you will be genuinely impressed, I'm sure of it. My name's been George. Be sure to check out the full written version of this video in the description, and I will see you guys in my next video, which will be quite soon, hopefully. So thank you guys for watching. See you next time.